Thank you much. Good morning to all of you. I'm here.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to all of you. Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Nice to meet all
Have
of
you
you.
eaten breakfast?
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Morning, morning,
Good morning, sir.
morning,
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to all. Now, please please mute your mics, dear students. Please mute your. Yeah, thank you so much. So, welcome, sir. And now I would like to call Samanyu Satish of 10th B to start the program, please.
Yes, ma'am. A very good morning to our respected Principal Sri Tankapan sir, former scientist Dr. B.R. Guruprasad sir, and my dear teachers and friends. Every year, 20th July is observed as Moon Landing Day or National Moon Day. This commemorates the day man first walked on moon in 1969. On his landing, Neil Armstrong quoted, "One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Armstrong's one small step for man inspired imaginations and sparked innovations for generations to come. Unquestionably, it was a tangible achievement in space research and technology. The first human-made object to touch the moon was the Soviet Union's Luna 2 on 13 September 1959. The primary objective of Apollo 11 was to complete a national goal set by President John F. Kennedy on May 25, 1961. That is, perform a crewed lunar landing and return to Earth. Today, we are very fortunate to have Dr. B.R. Guruprasad sir, who is a former ISRO scientist. As a satellite scientist, he has rich experience in satellite mission planning, analysis, and operations, and worked for over 25 Indian satellite missions at ISRO Satellite Center. He had worked at Germany and at NASA. He has written more than 500 articles on science in English and Kannada, and has written 12 books on astronomy and space, and contributed to encyclopedias and compendiums. Therefore, he is the right person to guide and educate us in this topic. To begin the program, I welcome Harinanda for Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवै सदा सरस्वती भगवती शेषजाढ्यापहा.
Now I invite our Principal Sri Tankapan sir to welcome our chief guest.
Very good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
sir.
Good morning, sir. It's a very pleasant morning, and we are blessed by the presence of Revered Dr. B.R. Guruprasad, ex-scientist of ISRO, who served our great country for around 37 years. And you might have gone through the profile read by our beloved student. It's actually our proud pleasure to welcome Dr. Guruprasad sir to today's program. And on behalf of KV in Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, New Delhi, and KVSRO Ernakulam, and on behalf of my VMC of KV number 2 Kasaragod, the district collector, and on behalf of the entire family of KV number 2 Kasaragod, I wholeheartedly welcome Dr. Guru Prasad sir. Sir, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And it is our proud pleasure to share some time with you. Such a great personality who contributed too much to our country for the uplifting of our country to the higher levels in the field of science and technology. And we have got the right person to interact with us. And in due course of time, Mr. M.S. Srinivas sir also will be joining. And I welcome Sachi. And once again, I welcome both the renowned personalities to this platform. I welcome you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now I welcome our chief guest, Dr. B.R. Guruprasad sir, to talk on the topic. Sir, please.
Yes, it's my pleasure. And once again, good morning to all of you, to Sri Thankappan sir, the principal, and Madam, who has been instrumental in organizing this. So the thing is, I profusely thank Madam Deepika Thakur and my own friend, Mr. Srinivasan, who was till recently the Group Director of Power Systems in ISRO Satellite Center, where I too worked for a long time. So special thanks to Deepika Madam for taking interest in this.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
thank you. It is my pleasure and it is my passion to talk to students and to communicate to them and try to answer their questions. For the past 4 decades, I have been writing about science and about space. Though I'm a scientist by profession, by choice I'm a science communicator, science writer and broadcaster. And I have written in both in English as well as in my mother tongue, Kannada. Okay, I'm from the state of Karnataka. Okay. Anyway, today I'm going to speak to you people in English. And I'm going to show you, I promise you, I will show some of the best pictures and some of the animations and videos also during the course of my lecture. And kindly reserve your questions till the end. Okay, at the end of my lecture, you can ask me questions one by one. We'll spend quite a bit of time on questions. Okay, once again, I thank all the people who have been responsible for arranging this lecture. And directly, I will go to the topic now. Okay, just I will share. So just a moment.
Okay, sir.
I will. Okay. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes,
It
sir.
is visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is just a moment.
It will be visible, sir.
Conquest of the moon, you are able to see. Okay, good. So the thing is, let me directly go to this presentation mode. Okay, today, excuse me, I'm going to speak about the conquest of the moon. How the human beings have conquered the moon. Conquered means not by violence or anything. How we have been successful to go to the moon and to explore it. And now already we are thinking of exploiting lunar resources, that is utilizing lunar resources, but it is not that easy. Anyway, suffice it to say that it's a very inspiring thing, as that boy who did welcome speech, he told Neil Armstrong on July 21st, 1969 at 8:26 a.m. in the morning Indian Standard Time. July 20th was in the United States. July 21st, 8:26 a.m. in the morning. That was the time when Neil Armstrong put his left foot on the moon and he uttered the famous words. What were those words? Now you will listen. Anyway, the student also told, we'll listen from Armstrong's voice itself.
The surface appears to be very, very fine grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. Down there, it's very fine.
See, now we will say.
I'm going to step off the limb. It's one small step for man, one giant least for mankind. That's beautiful.
Okay, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. What prophetic words they were. Okay, definitely. It was a small step for an individual who was Neil Armstrong, but it was a giant leap for mankind because, human beings had stepped into another world. See, the thing earlier, they had explored many things, but still they were confined to their planet Earth. Okay, but on July 21st, 1969, as per Indian Standard Time, okay, the humans set foot on the moon, which was another world. It is not the Earth, it is a separate body. What is that separate heavenly body, or the nearest heavenly body to us, which is called as moon? What are its specialities? We will learn this, okay, in this lecture. And look at that. Earth has got many, not thousands, tens of thousands of species of life, okay, animals, birds, fishes, etc., etc. But compared to all other forms of life, human beings are different because they are conscious of their existence. And in addition to that, they want to understand the world around them. See, the thinking capability which man has been endowed with, that is a special characteristic, special feature of human beings. They can think, they are intelligent, they want to explore, okay, they pursue science, okay. In that process, they will study the world around them and make use of that knowledge for making their lives more interesting and more secure. So human beings are totally different. What have human beings done? Look at that. Human beings have scaled the highest mountain on the earth, that is Mount Everest, okay. And human beings have plunged to the depths of the abyss, that is the depths of the oceans, okay. The deepest pond on earth is 11 point, okay, roughly you take 11,025 meters, that is 11,000 meters, which is 11 kilometers from the seashore, from the surface of the sea, okay. Then they have gone there, that is called Challenger Deep, okay, in the Pacific Ocean. They have explored it. As early as 1960, they did that. And they have gone to the North Pole. You can see an icebreaker there. She is going to the North Pole. It was very, Colonel Robert Peary was the first person to reach the North Pole. It's not easy. Armchair travelers are different, but to go to such inhospitable places, it is not easy. But anyway, humans, by nature, they are exploratory. They like exploration. Nobody can stop their exploratory zeal. Okay, so they have gone to North Pole and they have gone to the South Pole. The first person to reach the South Pole was Roald Amundsen of Norway. Okay, that was also a century back. Okay, compared to all these feats, landing on the moon was totally different. That's what I said. See, landing on the moon is different because moon is a heavenly body, though which is very near to us. This is the nearest heavenly body to Earth is the moon, but still a distance of 384,000 kilometers. Nearly 4 lakh kilometers separates Earth from the moon. If you want to travel to the moon, you have to travel in the horrible environment of space. It is not easy. I'll come to that. That is why Apollo flights to moon are always called as the greatest adventure of humanity. So here you see this picture is called Man on the Moon. I'll come to that a little later. Okay, just I have shown you this. See, I told you Neil Armstrong was the first person to land on the moon, but this is not Neil Armstrong. This is the second man on the moon, Edwin Aldrin. Okay, it is his picture, but if you want to see Neil Armstrong, who is taking this picture, he is being reflected by the visor of Edwin Aldrin. You see a small thing there, an astronaut there. He is Neil Armstrong because he is taking this picture. Okay, and the spacecraft in which they landed on the moon was Apollo 11. This is not the entire Apollo spacecraft. This is a part of the spacecraft called Lunar Module, which landed on the moon. It had got 2 stages. Anyway, they again went up using the upper stage. This they left it on the moon itself. Neil Armstrong, this is the one. He's my hero always, in fact. Okay. I'm really, I have so much of respect for this gentleman. What an intellectual he is. What a daring person he was. And what an explorer he was. I'll come to that. Okay. And look at Armstrong footsteps. Okay. This small step for a man. This will be there on the moon for millions of years. If you place your footprint somewhere on the earth, after some time or after a few days, it will never be there. But on the moon, it will be there for millions of years. Okay. Now, let us learn something about the moon. Okay. Moon, as I told you, is the nearest heavenly body to us. Okay. Moon is at a distance of, on the average, it is at a distance of 384,000 kilometers from the Earth. See, moon has been circling the Earth for the past at least 400 crore years, that is 4 billion years. Okay. So, as far as we are concerned, okay, there is only one natural satellite for Earth, that is the moon. But there are thousands of artificial satellites. That is a different thing. And artificial satellites are launched by humans since 1957. But this only one natural satellite of Earth has been circling, revolving around the Earth for the past at least 400 crore years or 4 billion years. That is what scientists say. What about natural satellites of other planets? For Mercury, the planet from any natural satellite. Venus does not have any natural satellite. Earth has got one, our moon. Mars has got 2. Jupiter has got 79. Saturn has got at least, Uranus has got at least, and Neptune has got 40. There are many moons in the outer solar system for a planet, but for only one. And as I told you, moon is revolving around the Earth on the average at a distance of 384,000 kilometers. Okay. And when it revolves around the Earth, it takes 27.3 days to go around the Earth once. 27.3 days. But curiously, it takes 27.3 days only to spin around its own axis also. Take the case of the Earth. How much time does it take to go around the Earth once? Go around the Sun once? That is 365 days roughly. How much time does the Earth take to spin up its own axis once? It is roughly 2 hours. But in the case both are there, with 7.3 days. That is why we see only 1/4 of the moon, one hemisphere of the moon. The other hemisphere moon is permanently turned away from us and we are never able to see it. It is called far side of the moon. But don't call it as dark side of the moon. It is called far side of the moon. And you know, when moon revolves around the Earth once in 27.3 days, whatever is the illuminated portion of the moon, entire visible. Okay, when it illuminates the moon's surface, different portions of the visible as moon revolves around the Earth. That is known as the phases of the moon. Okay, and how big the moon is? Moon is 1/4 the size of the Earth. Earth's diameter is 12,756 kilometers. But moon's diameter is 3,476 kilometers. You can put more than 60 moons inside one Earth. So that is the volume of the moon. And you know, because and moon is smaller and moon's mass is also much smaller compared to Earth, when astronauts are walking on the moon, it appears as though they are hopping like kangaroos, because gravity on the surface of the moon is 1/6 of that on the surface of the Earth. If you weigh 100 kilograms on Earth, you will weigh only 16 kilograms on the moon. So that's a very interesting fact. Now, I told you, excuse me, Moon revolves on the Earth in an elliptical orbit or egg-shaped orbit. That is why I said average. On the average, it orbits at a height of 3,84,000. I said when the Moon is very near to Earth, it is called perigee. That is 3,63,000 kilometers. When it is far away from the Earth in its egg-shaped orbit, it is 4,05,000 kilometers. So look at that. There is an animation here. Look at that. See, this is the way. Moon is sometimes nearer, sometimes farther. So it may look a bit larger and a bit smaller. Okay, that is the thing. Now this animation shows, only one face of the moon we can always see. The moon is taking 21 increasing same time. Okay, in this same inch of time, the moon, which is called as near side of the moon. When you see face of the moon, you observe the same face of the moon is visible. Okay, and moon is the basis of the calendars. For example, Moonth, M-O-O-N-T-H, from that the word month has come. Similarly, Monday is nothing but moon day. From there, the word has come. Because, moon has been a source for counting time. Okay. From one new moon day to another new moon day, it is roughly 28 days. Okay. And that is how people have counted time from time immemorial. And that all over the world take a great calendar, being a lunar calendar, it is a Earth calendar. On the other hand, we use what is known as Shakvarsha, okay, in India, okay, that is a different kind of calendar. Anyway, for business purpose, we are using lunar calendar only. And look at that. Moon has got many effects. See, because of the powerful gravitational force of the Earth, Moon is going around the Earth. It is not escaping. But at the same time, Moon also has it influences the Earth through its gravitational field. That gives rise to tides. Okay, rising and lowering of the level of the sea. Look at here. You see, when high tides are there, the water comes to a informed area, and the thing is, you can see a boat floating there. Okay. On the other hand, the thing is, when there is low tide, there is no water, and that is why the boat is just sitting on the ground itself. So the periodic rising and lowering of water level in a confined area like bay kind of thing is due to moon mostly. Sun also generates tides, but it is the moon for the tides on Earth. And moon is a very interesting thing because very rarely it appears as though moon covers the face of the empire. Okay, it appears to us the total solar eclipse and all those things from the surface of Mars. Moon, the thing is, humans have visited the moon, but how is the moon? Okay, how it is to live there on the surface of the moon. Moon is a horrible world. Because it's day now. When astronaut is here, you can see he is standing near a boulder, big rock. So this is day side on the moon. Sunlight is falling. Temperature is roughly around plus 100 degrees centigrade. If he goes here and goes to this shape, this is why astronauts have to wear space suits and visors and other things. They have to be protected. See, on Earth we cannot have a temperature here, one temperature here, another temperature. It is not possible. But on the moon only, it happens like this. Okay, and the thing is, the moon does not have an atmosphere, and because of that, harmful electromagnetic radiations from the sun, they will come and fall, so it is not easy to live there. And look at the surface of the moon. Moon has got mountains, moon has got plateaus, moon has got plains, moon has got plenty, millions of craters. Look at this. This is the surface of the moon where mountains are visible very clearly. And craters are in millions. And so these two are the very important features. Okay. There are bright areas on the moon which are mountainous. There are dark areas on the moon which are lowlands. Okay. How did the moon originate? When did it come into existence? Yesterday? Day before yesterday? When? Okay. According to the latest belief, the thing is which the scientific community has largely accepted, moon was formed from the debris which was generated when a Mars-sized object came and hit the Earth when this Earth was in its primary school. That means when Earth was very young, okay, at that time, a body which was of the size of Mars came and hit the Earth at a particular angle, it seems. Because of that, much of the top portion of the Earth was evaporated and dust got generated, and it was circling the Earth like the rings of Saturn, and slowly they came together, and that means accreted and formed our moon. That is what the latest belief. And look at the Earth after the formation of the moon. Lots of meteorites, lots of meteors, asteroids, comets, they came and hit the moon. Okay, so because of that, you have plenty of craters. For example, tens of millions of craters. My dear students, please see this picture, one of the best pictures of the surface of the moon. So clear, and even such small craters are visible. Who has taken this picture? Is it American spacecraft? No, it is your own spacecraft. It is your own country's spacecraft, Chandrayaan-1, which has taken this picture of the moon. One of the greatest pictures of the surface of the moon taken by any spacecraft. Look at that. Look at the clarity there. See, what you are seeing is the part of the rim of a crater which is hundreds of kilometers in diameter. What you are seeing is not even the crater. It is the part of the rim of the crater. Within this crater, again, there is one crater. There are so many craters. There is one more crater within a crater. So moon doesn't have any atmosphere. That is why a lot of meteors will come and hit. See, the exploration of the moon could able to begin only after the first satellite of the Earth was launched on October 4th, 1957. This is Sputnik 1, which was the first artificial satellite of the Earth, which was launched on October 4th, 1957 by the former Soviet Union. Then there was a race to explore space between the United States and the former Soviet Union, USSR it was called. Because both these countries, they wanted to show they were the best in space. So, but this helped a lot, especially in the human conquest of the moon within about 12 years after the launch of Sputnik. So this animation shows Sputnik. The thing is, I told you, moon takes 27.3 days to go around the Earth once, and it takes 27.3 days to spin around its own axis once. That is why we see only one face of the moon. How is the other face of the moon? How is the back side of the moon, not the dark side of the moon? How is the back side of the moon? Nobody knew, because we cannot see it from the surface of the Earth. In 1959, the Soviet Union launched the spacecraft called Lunik 3, and it went behind the moon and took this picture. Look at that. This is the way. This was a crude picture. Today we have one of the best pictures are there of the lunar far side taken by our Chandrayaan also. So, if you see this, if you see the near face of the moon, okay, near side of the moon, that is whatever is visible to us, you see lot of dark areas. But here you see, they don't have it does not have many dark areas, mostly bright areas. Why it is like this? That is what scientists are thinking even today. And of course, because of the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. United States, which had a very small rocket in 1961, smaller than this, they developed this called Atlas. Then they developed what is known as Titan. Excuse me. Then they developed this mighty rocket, Saturn V. Similarly, your student